There are 7 summer accessories that make any simple look seem incredibly expensive. And what's most interesting, when you wear them the right way, strangers start looking at you like you're someone famous. I'm not exaggerating. It's a visual code that the human brain processes as status, elegance, investment. Today, I'm going to reveal each of these accessories and exactly how to use them to create this effect. Accessory 1, the hat that makes people think you're vacationing in Cannes. There's one accessory that, when you show up wearing it, immediately creates a story in the minds of people who see you. They can't explain it, but they feel like you came from somewhere interesting, or that you're headed there. It's the fine weave straw boater hat. I'm not talking about just any beach hat. I'm talking about a boater with structure, the kind that keeps its shape even when you take it off your head, with a symmetrical brim about 6 to 8 centimeters and a discreet grosgrain ribbon. When the straw has a fine regular weave, it looks woven from a distance. And then something curious happens. People stop seeing a sun hat and start seeing a fashion accessory. The code behind this is old. Venice, Cannes, the Hamptons. Women who vacation in places like these have worn this hat for decades, and the human brain associates silhouettes iconically. The difference between what looks expensive and what doesn't comes down to 2 details. The straw either wilts or holds its shape, and the ribbon is either discreet or too wide. That's all that separates the 2 worlds. How to wear it? Straight on your head, slightly tilted forward, with a white or beige linen dress, or with a linen set, hair up or straight, and no sunglasses at the same time. One or the other, not both together. And speaking of sunglasses, accessory 2, the secret of mystery that makes people look at you without knowing why. There's something that Hollywood actresses from the 50s and 60s understood that most women still haven't figured out. When you cover part of your face, you create mystery, and mystery attracts attention. Oversized sunglasses are literally a tool of social perception. They cover half your face. They create a visual barrier that makes people want to understand who's behind them. And when they're classic, cat eye, large aviator, square with thick frame, they don't follow cheap trends. They've existed for decades and will continue to exist. The difference between what looks expensive and what looks cheap here is in the acetate. Italian acetate frames are thicker, heavier, and have a material quality that thin plastic can't imitate. You feel it in your hand, and people feel it with their eyes. Colors that work: classic tortoiseshell, total black, translucent brown. Never vibrant color or pattern on the frame. That kills the effect immediately. Something few people do that looks extremely chic. Push the glasses up on your head when you're talking up close. They become an improvised headband. It looks careless in a calculated way, and that's exactly where the elegance lives. But now comes an accessory that acts in a completely different way. Instead of covering, it reveals. Accessory 3, the bag that makes people think you bought it somewhere special. Imagine walking past a shop window and seeing a bag that stands up by itself, even when empty. This seems simple, but it's exactly what separates expensive craftsmanship from common craftsmanship. The structured fine weave straw bag is one of those accessories that screams quality without needing a logo. When the straw is fine and uniform, when it has rigid internal structure, when the handles are stitched leather and not glued, the eye perceives it, even without being able to name what it's seeing. The shapes that work are architectural: cylindrical bucket, structured half moon, top handle with short leather straps. These are shapes that have intention, that were thought through. The association code here is powerful. Structured straw evokes St. Barth, Ibiza, Tulum, not because these people are rich, but because they know where to shop, what to choose, and how to wear it. The proportion rule is simple: large bag with minimalist look, small bag with more elaborate look, and natural straw, beige, honey, with neutral clothes. Never with prints, because then it becomes too much. Now going down, literally. Accessory 4, the detail that lengthens legs without anyone noticing. It's happening. There's an optical illusion that stylists use frequently, and that's almost never explained openly. When the shoe has the same tone as a person's skin, the leg seems endless. The eye can't find where the leg ends and the shoe begins. This is why the nude or gold minimalist leather sandal is one of the most strategic accessories of summer. It doesn't need high heels. It can be flat. It can be a slide with a single wide strap, or a gladiator with 3 thin, delicate straps. What matters is the leather, genuine, soft, with natural shine, and the minimalism. No decoration, no embellishment, no unnecessary detail. There's a variation that works for any skin tone, metallic gold. It doesn't try to mimic skin, but it reflects light in a way that creates the same lengthening effect. And there's a bonus. It goes with absolutely everything. But here there's a detail that few people have the courage to talk about directly. This accessory only works completely if the feet are impeccable, pedicure up to date, short, well-done nails, moisturized skin. Without this, the entire effect falls apart. It's cruel, but it's real. And now comes an accessory that acts in ways you probably never imagined. Accessory 5, the accessory that can be 7 different things and makes people think you have secret styling. You know that moment when you see someone wearing something in a different way, and you think, why did I never think of that? The large silk scarf is the accessory with the most possibilities of the entire summer, and most women use it in only one way, or don't use it at all. When it's real silk, 100% twill, with hand-rolled hem, the material has a movement that no polyester can reproduce. It flows differently. It falls differently. And when you move, it attracts attention in an almost hypnotic way. There are 7 ways to wear it. In your hair as a headband, tied under the chin Grace Kelly style, around the neck loosely like a French knot, as a decorative strap on a straw bag. The contrast of textures is extraordinary. As a belt threaded through pant loops, tied on the wrist as an improvised bracelet, as a halter top in more casual situations, and at the base of a ponytail, which gives a sophisticated preppy effect that people notice without understanding where it came from. The code here is clearly Hermès. Even if the scarf isn't Hermès, there's a format, a proportion, a type of pattern that the eye associates with that universe. And you don't need to spend a fortune to access this code. You just need to know what to look for. But now comes an accessory that acts in a completely silent way, and for that very reason is the most powerful of all in the quiet luxury universe. Accessory 6, the watch that shows you understand expensive discretion. There's an unwritten rule that people with real money follow. The less obvious, the more expensive it seems. The minimalist watch, clean dial, thin metal or leather strap, without unnecessary complications, is the maximum expression of what's called quiet luxury. It doesn't scream. It doesn't have logos showing up everywhere. It's simply there, on your wrist, catching light subtly, appearing every time you gesture. And people notice, maybe not consciously, but the eye registers that discreet shine on the wrist and creates an automatic association with someone who knows what they're doing. The models that work best are classics, tank format with rectangular dial, minimalist round with thin leather strap, or metal mesh bracelet with small dial between 28 and 32 millimeters. None of them ask for attention. They simply have presence. The metal color has strategic logic. Gold works better with warm-toned clothes, beige, camel, terracotta, and with bronze skin. Silver works with cool tones, white, gray, blue, and with lighter skin. It's not an absolute rule, but following this creates a harmony that people feel without naming. And speaking of harmony in a look, the last accessory on this list is what ties everything together, and it acts from a place you probably never stop to think about. And don't forget, you don't need a closet full of clothes to be elegant. You just need strategy. If you want to learn how to turn 15 pieces into over 150 elegant looks, the link to my complete guide is right below in the pinned comment. Download it and stop struggling in front of the mirror. And if you're watching on TV, just scan the QR code that appears on the screen or in the corner of the video. Accessory 7, the code that frames your face and makes people look at you without knowing why. Everything we've seen so far acts on the body, hands, feet, head. But there's one accessory that acts directly on the face, that directs people's gaze exactly to where you are. The medium gold hoop, 4 to 5 centimeters in diameter, medium wire, hollow inside to be light, is the accessory with the highest return on impact per investment of the entire summer. It does two things at once. It frames the face, creating a visual frame that automatically directs the human gaze, and it moves when you talk, when you turn your head, creating dynamism and catching light in different ways all the time. Size matters more than it seems. Too small loses impact. Too large for everyday looks like costume. The medium 4 to 5 centimeters is at the exact point between presence and elegance. The difference between a hoop that looks expensive and one that doesn't is in the material and finish. Quality gold plating, thick layer, well applied, lasts and doesn't peel, and the finish can be polished shiny, which catches light dramatically, or brushed matte, which has a more discreet sophistication. The usage rule is simple. With hair up, the hoop completely takes center stage. With hair down, it appears in movements. Both ways work, but with a bun or ponytail, the neck is exposed, the hoop is visible, and the effect is maximum. And no necklace, the hoop alone, or hoop and watch, is already enough. Excess is the only mistake that undoes everything. So that's it. 7 accessories, 7 visual codes that people perceive without being able to name them. None of them work by accident. Each one has logic, an association, a code that the human eye has already learned to recognize. And when you start using these codes intentionally, not all together, but chosen carefully, people start to see you differently. You don't change. What changes is what they feel when they look at you. So, did you like the video? Now I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, what else do you want to learn? What topics do you feel are missing here on the channel? Leave your suggestion below because I read all the comments and write everything down to bring in the next videos. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.